What's up, beautiful people? So I have you guys in my kitchen right now because we are going to make jollof rice today. This is actually going to be my first time cooking and filming at the same time, so that should be very interesting. I really need to invest in one of those mega tripods where I can have like an, eagle eye view of things, including my pot. If I should decide to make a recipe for you guys, I can have that, over my pot so you guys can see what I'm doing. But I'll try to make it work with the tripod I have. It's not very ideal, but we shall see. A couple of people, well, a couple of my friends really had requested that I do a video on my quote-unquote spicy rice, which is what they call it, because I had made it for them quite a while ago and they really enjoyed it. And I actually sent one of my friends the recipe, or told her what I used, and she went out and bought everything and tried it, and she told me that it didn't turn out the way that mine tasted. So hopefully this video will help her out. That's my friend Jennifer. What's up? So hopefully this will help you out, Jen, and other people too. If you guys want to try the recipe while you are home trying to look for a new recipe to try out other than what you normally eat, hey, be my guest. Also, before we get started, I have to warn you guys, I don't really measure stuff. My mom cooks that way. My grandmother, when I was younger and I used to hang around my grandmother when she was cooking, my aunties, I never saw them measure anything. They just go by taste. If they taste whatever it is, you're making the soup and it doesn't have enough salt, they add a little bit more. If it's not enough, they add a little bit more again. But they never measure. The only time I've seen my mom measure, and the only time I measure for that matter, is when I'm baking a cake, which I haven't baked a cake from scratch in forever. So that's the only time I will measure, because you want to make sure you have the proportions right. You don't want your cake to come out like, because you didn't put enough baking soda or baking powder. Which, by the way, what's the difference between those two? Whatever ingredient you put in your cakes to make it swell. So that's the only time I've seen my mom measure. So we shall see how that works. I will try my best to guide you guys through everything I'm doing. Let's stop talking and let's get right to cooking. So I have assembled what I am going to be using for this recipe. Over here I have a third of a yellow onion. Now if you have white onions or red onions on hand, you can go ahead and use that. I doubt it will make a difference, but that's just what I always use. A yellow onion makes you cry when you chop it, but I love it. So that's about a third of it. I always chop up my onions and put them in Ziploc bags to preserve them. And also it's easier that way, so I don't have to be peeling onions when I need them. They're gonna be ready for me whenever I need them, whether it's to make jollof rice like today or to make an omelet. Next thing I use is Old Bay seasoning, the powdered form. I'm using the whole tomato because this tomato is very ripe and I don't want it to go bad. This is not the climate to be wasting food. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm not trying to go to the grocery store more than I need to. Also using a can of tomato puree or paste. Now you're more than welcome to use even the store brand, the generic brand. This is just what they had at the store. I guess everyone bought up all the, I don't want to use the word cheap, but the affordable cans, so the generic versions, and left slightly more expensive options on the shelf. And I was like, well, hell, I'll buy it because I need it. So you don't need this specific brand. Whatever tomato paste you can get your hand on, you can grab that. I'm not going to use the entire can. I'm just going to use maybe half of it, and then I'll freeze the rest. Then over here you have your garlic powder. Now if you have the fresh garlic, even better, but this is just what I have on hand. I always buy the big ones because I use a lot of garlic powder when cooking. And this right here, this is really the magic weapon, the secret weapon. These are Maggi, oh, my camera is not focusing. Maggi, come on. Maggie cubes. Okay, so these Maggie cubes, let me tell you something interesting about those. Now, my mom sends the Maggie to me. She ships those to me from Philly. There is an African store literally 5 or 10 minutes from where she lives, and the store she goes to is actually run by the people who run it are actually from Cameroon. So it's very nostalgic when I go in there because a lot of the products they have are products that I grew up eating. So they have like the powdered milk, the Nido or the peak milk, it's powdered milk. They have Milo or Milo, however you want to pronounce it. It's the hot chocolate, but it's much better. So my mom sends those to me. I just tell her I need a pack of Maggie, and she goes and grabs 1 or 2 and ships those to me. I don't know that they have an African store or African stores here in Orlando. Maybe they do, but I haven't bothered to go looking for it because it's a lot easier to just tell my mom to send those to me. Anywhere there are a lot of Africans, pretty much you will find a couple of African stores. So basically anywhere in Philly, New York, Washington, D.C., Maryland, basically anywhere on the East Coast up north, you will find African stores. If you can't find an African store, maybe try a Caribbean store, but I strongly suggest going to an African store because the Maggie Cube, you can find a version of it in the Hispanic section of any grocery store like Walmart, but it's not the same. It's similar, but it's not going to give you the same taste as that one that I have. And the Maggie Cubes come in packs like this. Make sure it says Star Seasoning on it. And over here I have my habanero peppers. This is optional if you're not into spicy. I usually keep my habanero peppers in my freezer to preserve them, so I just pull them from my freezer. I'm gonna use 1 because 2 might be too much, so I'll use 1 of those. And of course my rice. That's how much rice I'm gonna cook because I plan on eating this jollof rice for 3 or 4 days, and of course I'm gonna wash it before I get started. And of course you guys don't see any meat here. Meat, you can go ahead and add that as well, preferably beef. It goes really well with jollof rice, but if you have chicken on hand, go ahead and use that. I'm not going to use meat because I have not eaten meat for the last 67 days. Well, by the time that this video airs, it's probably going to be at least 3 months that I haven't eaten meat. It's not for any religious purpose or anything. I just wanted to see if not eating meat makes a difference health-wise, and it does. I don't crave it. Not to say I will never eat meat again. And when I say meat, I mean like chicken, pork, any kind of meat. I eat eggs and I eat salmon and shrimp. So I just put a pot on the fire and put some olive oil in it. This is the brand of olive oil I use, Newman's Organics. I get it from Publix, in case you're wondering. So I'm just gonna let that warm up just a tad bit. I have my stove here on this setting here. You don't want to do it too high because you don't want the olive oil to burn. So I'm going to put in my onions next. I'm just going to chop the onions directly into the pot. I'm not making a whole ceremony of it. I do have a chopping board, which I never use. I don't know why I bought it because I never use the chopping board to chop onions or tomatoes. I just chop it right into the bowl, and you'll see what I'm doing in just a little bit. Of course, I got to wash my hands first. Always wash your hands. For me, I don't like my workspace when I'm cooking to get too messy. I like to clean as I go. I cleaned my apartment yesterday, deep clean, top to bottom, things I never cleaned before. I was cleaning that yesterday, and I actually filmed it. I don't know if that video is going to be up before this one, but yeah, so I'm just trying to maintain this for a little bit. I really wish you guys I could have a camera over the top of my pot so you guys see what I'm doing. But hopefully you guys can see me. Hopefully the lighting is okay. So this is what that looks like. Let's stir it a little bit. I have reduced the heat to this setting here because I don't want it to burn. You want your onions to brown, but you don't want it to burn. You constantly also want to adjust your settings. Oh, you guys can see me. You constantly want to adjust your settings because you don't want your food to like be overcooked or undercooked, okay? So even though I'm going to be cooking the tomato, I still rinsed it off. Just, you know, just for safety. Here we go with the tomatoes. And then I'm gonna go in with my spices before the tomato puree. Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let you go. It's so natural. You belong to me. I belong to you. Yeah. Boy, you know I'm here for you. All those times at night when you hurt me. It's like, let me stop. I have been on a just binge, if you will, of just really calming music, including 90s R&B. I was born in 87, right when hip hop and R&B was just beginning to take off. So I've been really into R&B and indie songs. I love the lyrics. They're so thoughtful. What have you guys been listening to while you were at home, social distancing? I would really like to know. Put those in the comments. Okay, so now I'm gonna put in one habanero pepper and put the rest in the freezer. I don't want it to be sitting out for too long. So this bad boy right here, I'm gonna rinse it off first before I put it in my pot. I'm gonna open my can of tomato. This is how I do it, y'all. I don't use a can opener. I just find it's a lot simpler to do it this way with a knife. So I put 2 holes in the side, or maybe 3 holes, like this, like so. I think I'm gonna go with 3 holes today because I'm feeling like it. And I just go to town with it. It's a lot easier that way. For me personally, I've tried to use a can opener before, and please, that shit was wasting my time. Oh, a little messy there. So my can of tomato is open with my knife. So this is how we're looking right now. I'm gonna stir it a little bit, crush that pepper, and put a lid on it so it doesn't start popping everywhere. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of water into this container with the leftover tomato paste. I put the rest in the freezer, but whatever is left in here, we can't let that go to waste. So I'm gonna put a little bit of water here, swirl it around, and then pour it into my mixture. Just a little bit. Swirl it around to get everything in there, and then pour it into the pot, okay? In goes my tomato paste, water. I'm gonna reduce the temperature right now just a little bit because I don't want it to start popping everywhere. I hate when it does that, and I have little drops of messiness around my stove. Crushing that pepper right now. Once it boils, it's going to dissolve into the stew. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit more water and bring it to a boil for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'll add my rice, which I still have to wash. What I put my water in, it says 3/3 of a cup. That's about the only measuring I'm going to do. You don't want that thing to be too watery. And I'm probably not gonna use all of it, so I just poured like half of it in it. I will add water periodically, just a little bit more. Sit it to the side here, and I'm gonna stir one more time and bring it to a boil. And I'll see you guys in the next 25-30 minutes ish, okay? Ooh, look at that. It is nice and bubbling. Let me grab my spoon here and stir it. Hang on one moment. Guys, how am I doing vlogging this stuff? It's kind of awkward for me, but I hope you guys are following along nicely. So there we are. I think it might be time to add my rice now. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, I had to turn on the lights. Hopefully this is a lot better. You guys can see me clearly. The sun is playing a game on me right now. So I'm gonna add on the rice now. Take the lid off and put it here, far away from my phone. And my rice goes. You guys see what I'm doing? Let me turn it this way. I usually wash my rice like 5 or 6 times. That rice was so dirty. Oh my gosh. I never thought I would have to wash rice in the US. Comment down below if you feel me. Oh my god. It's the regular basmati rice. I'll show you guys in a little bit what package it comes in. I usually get the 5 or 10 pound bag, and it lasts me quite some time because I don't eat rice every day. Well, I'm going to be eating rice for the next 4 days because I batch cooked. But I mean, I don't cook rice every week. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, I have you guys in my pantry right now. This is the basmati. Actually, I lied. It was not basmati. It is basmati rice that I use. I get it from Publix in case you're wondering. This is what this is looking like right now. Ooh, how pretty is that? So I'm going to stir it, and this is when I have to emphasize stirring if you want the results you're looking for. You have to keep stirring. You don't want the bottom to burn, or you don't want the bottom to end up being like just white rice and then the top is nice and this color. You don't want that. So you have to keep stirring so everything is going to be even. It's going to be the same color all the way through. Gonna add just a little bit of water here. Basically, the little bit of water I have left in here that I never added. Where am I at? Right here. Add that bad boy in here, and then I'll add water as I go. For right now, this is all I need. I have to check on it every 5 minutes, otherwise this stuff will burn. So this is the tricky part of cooking jollof rice. Everything else is easy, but keeping an eye on it after you put everything together is even more important. So I'm adding just a little bit more rice again. Or did I say rice? Oh my god, I'm adding a little bit more water right now. I think I'm gonna, oh yeah, just leave that at that. I don't want to put too much. And also watch your heat. You don't want it too high. I'm gonna reduce that heat so the bottom doesn't burn. So it's 5 minutes later. The lid is not hot, so I can hold it with my hand. I'm gonna stir it one last time and just let it do its thing. Okay, let me grab my spoon here. Oh, stir it so it's starting to cook a little bit. The rice is starting to harden a little bit. So stir it just a little bit. You don't want to add too much water. You just want the steam to do the work. If you put too much water in there, girl, that thing's gonna come out looking like poto poto, which is basically slang for mushy, and you don't want that. So it looks like it could use water, but don't be tempted to add water. Just put the lid back on and let it do its thing. And I'll check on it in the next, what, 10-15 minutes? Just let it do its thing. The steam will do its job. So it's been about roughly 10 to 12 minutes, and this is what it's looking like right now. So still a little bit of water in it. I learned this from my mom. She says if you're in doubt, just listen. Listen to this. So it still sounds like there's water in it. You will know when the water is almost done. But right now, we'll let it cook for another like 10 minutes. All it is just eyeballing and listening. And I had reduced my stove again. See right there where it is? And I'm just gonna leave it on that setting for the next 10-15 minutes, and I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. So it's about 20 minutes later, and this is it. Almost done. It's bubbling a little bit, just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and reduce my stove tiny bit, and I'll see you guys in the next 5 minutes or maybe later, because I have to make my asparagus, which I'm going to eat with this since I don't have any meats. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, I'm not eating meat, but I'm still eating eggs and like salmon and shrimp. But yeah, shrimp will not go good with this. So I'm just gonna have my rice and my asparagus, so I have a carb and a green. So I just sprinkled some Old Bay and some garlic powder on my asparagus after I chopped it and rinsed it off, and then I drizzled some olive oil on it as well, and I'm gonna put it in my oven, which I have set to, ooh, that is not no 350, 300, 300. Set it to 300, and I'll just pop it in the oven and leave it in the oven for like 15-20 minutes. I want it to be crunchy but sort of cooked. I don't want no soggy asparagus. Alright guys, so that is what my jollof rice looks like with my asparagus plated. I'm about to tear that up. I'm about to put the rest in glass containers and eat those over the next 3 days. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know if you try out the recipe and if it's a success. And give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it and if you found value in it. And I'll see you guys next week. Over meadows, inside sprung grass, lungs breathing in the darkness. Love down low, scattered in the gravel. Very